I thought about unity, and I feel like, intellectually, we know what unity is. But, when we talk about unity, it's unity, the state of being joined as a whole, which kind of feels like if we're joined as a whole, it feels like there's parts that are joined as a whole. So how are we to understand that we're one, but I am clearly here, and you are clearly there? There seems to be some separation here, right? We live our separate lives. I don't show up where you work. You show up where I work, but how are we to understand and really embrace oneness, unity? So God, the one, right, is ineffable, meaning cannot be defined with words. In order to define God, we would need to say God is like this, or God is like this. And God being all there is, right? There's nothing that God is not. It would be like saying God is like God. God is goddish. There's a certain godness. There's a little godity. It's the worst. As far as the definition goes, it's terrible. It's what is a strawberry? Well, it's strawberry-ish, in the way that a sunset is sunset-y. It just doesn't help. It's not good. It's not great. So, being ineffable, nothing we can really say about the one, about the truth with a capital T, is ultimately wholly true. And that's really nothing ultimate we can say about one another is actually even wholly true either, which is to say that everything or anything we say about the one is ultimately not true. So, as I'm demonstrating now, when we're talking about the one, when we're talking about truth with a capital T, we run into paradox. Paradox is that thing where this is true and this is true, and they're totally opposing and true at the same time. It's like arguing with a clever teenager. You are never going to win because the answer is always going to be, well, yes and no. Yes and no. So we have to be able to live in the yes and no and embrace that. Are we separate? Of course we are. Look at us. Are we separate? No, we're not. Yes and no. A paradox that you can embrace that can help you with this is, I know that I don't know. This opens us up to understanding things that are said to passeth human understanding. And what is it that really passes human understanding? Experience, right? If I have an experience of the one, I can stand up here and talk about it all day long. But you are not going to know what my experience of the one was. You're just not. In the same way that if I say this is what it's like to eat a strawberry, until I put one in your hand and you eat it, you really won't know. So if we surrender to not knowing, we open ourselves up to learning, to an awareness of something new, to an experience. And this can be a challenge because we love to know, and to know that we know. I'm a huge fan of Tennessee Williams. He was a playwright. He's the Streetcar Named Desire guy. He wrote a book of short stories, and in the introduction, and I didn't check, I don't know if he wrote the introduction or someone else, but there's this little part about people are like this. If you have a one-bedroom apartment, and then you get a three-bedroom house, you're going to take all the furniture from that one-bedroom apartment and you are going to put it all over that three-bedroom house and be like, look how full my house is. And that's exactly what we do. Because think about how little we really know. How much do you really know about the multiverse that you live in? How much do you really know about the earth that you live on? How much do you really know about the body that you have? Someone explain, other than Terry, how the circulatory system works. Right? How much do we really know? But don't we walk around like, everybody line up behind me. I have all the answers. I got it. I know. I'm cool. I got this. It's all good. It's all good. I'm a leader. We all do this. We all act like, I got it. I'm good. I know. You know, I get it. I know why we do that, but it's funny. And so it's hard to say, I don't know. And you don't hear it very often, you know. When people are like, what do you think about the economy? You don't hear someone say, honestly, I don't know very much about an economy the size of the United States. I honestly have no idea. People are like, well, I'll tell you what I know. You don't know anything. My goodness, you're an English major. Nothing against English majors. That's what I am. I don't know anything about the economy. So if we surrender, we just say, I don't know. I'm going to surrender to the one mind. Then I'm going to allow for guidance. And I'm going to allow my actions to be guided. And if it's time for me to say something, to know something, there is one mind. I'll be given the words and I'll say it. And then someone will say, whoa, how did you know that? How did you know to do that? I don't know. I really don't know. I just felt guided. Well, how do you know that that's true? I don't. Well, then how can you trust it? Nothing feels more true to me. That's how I trust it. There is that one thing within us all. That intuition, that oneness, that unity. That thing that, when I read the science of mind, I think, I just know this is true. When I read a lot of the Bible, I just know there's so much wisdom in here. When I read A Course in Miracles, Tao Te Ching, Bhagavad Gita, I just know this is true. Some of it I don't understand. I just know this is true. So we each have our souls, and Emerson called this thing, this unity, he called it the oversoul. And I want to read you something that Emerson wrote. He is, this is Ralph Waldo Emerson I'm talking about here. What an amazing guy. So it says, the only profit of that which must be is that great nature in which we rest, as the earth lies in the soft arms of the atmosphere. That unity, that oversoul, within which every person's particular being is contained and made one with all other. That common heart of which all sincere conversation is the worship, to which all right action is submission. That overpowering reality which confutes our tricks and talents and constrains everyone to pass for what they are and to speak from their character and not from our tongue, and which evermore tends and aims to pass into our thought and hand and become wisdom and virtue and power and beauty. We live in succession, in division, in parts, in particles, which is to say we seem to live separate. That's my parenthetical. Meantime, within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. So we must hold both. We are part and particle of God, and we are God. We are the one. And we seem to be separate human beings living our human lives, and yet we are spiritual beings, all of us interconnected in that wise silence. So in her message in the newsletter this week, Reverend Karen asked us to consider how our actions are affecting the community as a whole. Right? She didn't ask us to know the answer. She asked us to consider it, to be with it, to ponder it, to be mindful of it. And of course, we can know. We can know if we're popping off. We can know if we're having outbursts. We can know if we're behaving, if we're treating each other kindly. We can know that. But how do we know that we are being conscious or aware of our oneness all the time? I would say set an intention. Set an intention. I will maintain awareness of the whole as I live my life. Set an affirmation. I maintain awareness of the whole as I live my life. There are so many of you here that I look out and I say, I know that you set an intention and I saw it work. I know that you set an intention and I saw it work. I know that you set an intention and I saw it work. We know that that's how we live a purposeful life. Isn't that right, Lindsay? Yeah. So be willing to say, I don't know. Go into meditation, preferably in the morning. Surrender to that wholeness. Surrender to that stillness, to that one, and say, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that I will be guided in my actions. I know that I will be guided in my words. If there's something for me to do, I will do it. And if there's something for me to say, I will say it. And if there is not, then I will simply enjoy the wise silence. And if I don't know, I will say, I don't know. And then someone else is going to hear you and think, you mean it's okay to say you don't know? You know what? I don't know about the economy either. Love it. So, if we can be present, be in the moment, then we're going to be without judgment. We're going to be without worry. We're going to be without concern. We can stay in that place of wise silence, because in the present moment, there is no room for that sort of thing. There's no time for that. It is simply what is happening right here and right now. If we're going to exercise judgment, we need to step out of the present moment and start looking back. You know what? That was wrong. And that was right. And that was wrong. And that... Now that I think about those things in that way, I'm starting to think about what I see around me, and that's wrong, and that makes me worried and concerned about what's going to happen in the future. You see how when we bring the past and our judgment, it overtakes. No longer are we living in the present. We're simply living in the past, but acting like we're living in the present. And everything in the world is, according to our judgments. And we know the world is going to show us our judgments, and it's going to say, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I'll show you that you're right. You think that's wrong? I'll show you that you're right about that. You'll see how wrong it is. And you're concerned about the future and all the things going wrong. You know what's going to happen in the future? All those things are going to go wrong. I'll show you you're right. That's how powerful you are. So if we just stay in that present moment and just know, I've set this intention. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. But I know it will work. Because there's only one. And so I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to surrender. And I'm just going to be in that wise silence and allow myself to be guided. That is how we can hold both yes and no. That is how we can celebrate our unity. That is how we can be inclusive and love one another. Let's sing some more songs and go eat some barbecue. I'll take